All right, welcome to How to Write Police Reports 101. I'm going to go over a couple of things. So please make sure you follow this to the detail. You can watch it a couple times, obviously. So, first of all, the most important thing is details. And you're going to hear me say this a lot because that's the most important thing. All too often, people are more interested in, oh my gosh, what's the date? Or did I get the date in there? That's the easy stuff. When you write what the date is or what the location is, that's easy because in a police report, there's often a front page and there's people pages, and you're going to enter that in. We're talking about the actual narrative. And although I see the future of policing is where we're going to have videos and drones following us everywhere, and we're not even going to have to do that, we're not there yet. We still have to write and be able to detail what happened. And until that day comes, we're going to have to be able to write the details of what occurred and be able to recount in a court of law what occurred. So because of that, details are really, really important. So let's cover that. Make sure to be detailed so that a person, which is generally a judge, an attorney, which is a prosecutor, or a defense attorney, or somebody that's going to sit on a jury, can read the report and can go through in their mind and recreate what happened, even if they weren't there and there's no video of wasn't there. So don't write, I grabbed the suspect's arm, because think about it. If I said I grabbed your arm, I guarantee some of you are thinking of I grabbed your arm right here, or I grabbed your arm right here, or I grabbed your arm with both of my hands. Make sure you say, I took my right hand and with an open hand, I grabbed your left wrist with my hand and I twisted your left wrist away from your body and up towards the sky. Do you see the difference between those two sentences? It's all about the details. So if you're the officer writing, you are going to be writing in first person. So you're always going to be writing about what you did. Now, this is going to be a little weird in this class because, number one, if you're not an officer, or if you are an officer, you're going to be writing about things that didn't happen. So what we're going to be doing is watching videos, and you're going to be looking and choosing somebody in that video, because generally there's more than one officer in the video that I'm going to have you watch, and you're going to choose an officer in that video, and you're going to pretend that you're that officer and pretend that it's the end of the day and you're writing the report about what you as that officer did. So remember, you're only going to write what you did. You never write about what somebody else did, because if they did something and they used force, they're going to be writing a report as well. And that's really important, because what if you said they did something and they didn't really do it? It gets all tangled up and muddy, and you don't want to do that. So you only write what you did, and you always write in the first person. So that says, I did this and I did that. So for example, you want to say, I was dispatched to 1250 Siskiyou Boulevard, that's where SOU is, in reference to a burglary. When I arrived, I spoke to Mary Smith. So again, everything is written in the first person. All right. Also, everything is written in the past tense. So again, when you're an officer, you go out and you do something. And so therefore, when you're writing about it, you're writing about it in the past tense. You're also writing about it in chronological order from your perspective. So for example, when I arrived, I saw that the front door to the house was wide open. So before I entered the house, I asked Johnson, and generally we identify people, which I'll show you in a minute, and then we refer to them by last name. Now, if there's more than one person with the same last name, we can refer to them by their first name. I asked Johnson if he had been inside the house prior to my arrival. Johnson told me that he arrived at the house at 1700 hours, and when he saw the door wide open, he called the police and did not enter the house. I then cleared the radio channel by asking for a code red and entered the house to clear it. So as you can see, I'm talking from first person about myself. I'm talking in past tense because I already cleared the house, and I'm going in chronological order as I did things. This is really important. Police officers don't have opinions when we're out. We are only stating the facts. And all too often when I see students write, they give a lot of opinions, and you can't do that. They're only supposed to state the facts. So I entered the house and I saw the front living room area just to the left after entering the front door had clothing, miscellaneous fast food, shoes, newspapers, and books strewn all over the carpet flooring. You should not include any opinions. You shouldn't say it appears as if the occupants were either very dirty people and did not clean up after themselves, or that the burglar had made a mess of their home. You do not state opinions. You just state facts. And you only write what you did. So many times, in fact, most times, when officers come in contact with a citizen or a suspect, just like I said earlier, there's going to be more than one officer involved. So no matter what, you only write what you do. And again, this gets kind of confusing because we're not really officers. We're having to pretend to be one of the officers in a video I'm going to show you. So you have to choose an officer, but remember, only write what you do. I don't want you in the reports that you write to say, I took my right hand and grabbed the left wrist of, Smith, and the other officer, Jones, grabbed the left hand. No. You only state what you did, and then you state, see Officer Jones's report for further information. And that's so important because, again, what if you say that Officer Jones did something and Officer Jones doesn't say that he or she did that in their report? It starts opening up a can of worms you don't want to open. So you say, I grabbed Smith's left wrist with my right open hand. I then used the grip I had on Smith's left wrist with my right hand to pull his forearm backwards and towards the sky in one motion. You see how detailed that is? Officer Joe Magley assisted. For further information, see his follow-up to this report. That's all you do. Again, I didn't say what he did. I just said he assisted. You do not want to write what another officer did since you were busy with your actions. How do you know what that officer did? And even if you see a video, again, let that officer deal with what they did. You have enough going on, okay? You can't fully know what they did. So again, just note that they assisted, note their names, note to see their follow-up reports. That's all you have to do. And generally, if another officer didn't use any force or they didn't see or hear anything, they don't even need to write a report. However, if they did use any force, I mean, if they put any force on the suspect, then they will write a follow-up to what they saw or did because that's important in a court of law. Okay, so to quote, use quotations or not. So if you remember exactly what you saw or did, so generally when we're watching a video, you're going to remember what you saw or did. So if you remember somebody said, or what you heard, take your hands out of your pockets, then we can put it in quotes. But if you don't remember exactly, we don't put it in quotes. Now, for your first report, I've done something unique, or I try to do it sometimes and put it in a different language. And the reason I do that is because I really want you to focus on the use of force, what we're doing with our hands, so that you really focus on the movements and not what is said. That's really important because all too often, I know you can write down what's said, but it's really a lot harder to write down what we do. All right, so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go watch a video and then we're gonna try to write it up together. All right.
Of the Bronx. 4 officers from the NYPD's 46th precinct conducted the arrest with heavy resistance from the perpetrator.
All right, so what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna pause this and I'm gonna open up my Microsoft Word document. And this is what I would do if I was writing this. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is show you how we enter a document. So every police report pretty much starts like this. Depending on your police department, you may start police reports different. So that's why I really don't care how you start this. I'm not gonna look at this, but I'm gonna give you what we call a boilerplate. And we always start our police report out with saying where we were, what we were doing, kind of stuff like this. So we start off with the date and time. So whenever you write this report, you're gonna give us a date and time and location. So we're gonna say let's say today is Monday. Let's say today is October 4th, 2020 at approximately 12:50, we're going to use military time, 12:58 hours. So use military time if you can. Don't say AM, PM. I have military hours on Moodle if you need them. I was on patrol at 12:50 Siskiyou Boulevard. You can put yourself at your home. You can put yourself at SOU. You can put yourself wherever. I don't care where you put yourself. You just have to have an address so we know where you're at. Okay, right now it looks like they were somewhere with a suspect. Let's call him John Smith. And it looks like I'm going to make myself this officer right here. And it looks like there's two officers assisting. Officers Johnson and Smith assisted. Okay. So I've got that set up. And it looks like our suspect, oops, I went over to my other screen. So I've got to swipe up. So give me a second to do this. So it looks like we've got two officers assisting and we've got our suspect in handcuffs. So again, what I'm going to do, gosh, I'm doing really good here. So give me a second, folks. Sorry. Here we go. Okay. So we've got our suspect in handcuffs. So I'm going to set that up as well. So let me make my screen a little bit smaller. So I'm going to say suspect Smith was in handcuffs. I don't care why right now. None of that's really important right now. I'm more interested with we write up what happened. Was in handcuffs and we were trying to place Smith in the rear cage of the patrol vehicle. Okay, that's all I know that's happened so far, so let's go back to the video. Okay, you hear how he said y'all recording this. So I want to put that in quotes. Smith said, quote, you all recording this, end quote. Okay, let's go back to the video.
Y'all recording this. This is not. Come on. Why are you pulling the car? Get the back up. Thank you. Get inside.
Okay, I'm not going to say what the other officers are saying because they can cover that in their own report. Okay, I'm being this officer because I want you to try to be the officer that has the most hands-on with him. And it looks like, and this is important, let's look where my hands are on Smith. Okay, so it looks like my right hand is on his right wrist and on his right forearm. So I'm going to write that down. I then placed my, with Smith standing and facing the open rear passenger door of the patrol vehicle, I placed my right open hand on the outside of his, and you can kind of see right there, it was on the outside of his right upper, and I'd say that was his tricep, bicep area, and my left open hand on his, I'd say it was on his left wrist area. Smith's hands were handcuffed behind his back. Now, if you can see what he's doing, and it's kind of hard with the video here. Let's call a bus, I say, and it looks like Smith kept, it's hard to see with what he was doing with his feet. I tried to get him in a seated position inside the rear of the patrol vehicle, but for some reason he would not sit down, and you can't really tell why. So I said, let's get a bus, okay?
What? No, leave me the fuck alone!
Okay. If you saw my right hand, I then placed my right open palm on the, and I guess you would say that was the front of Smith's right top shoulder, and lightly pushed him back, and he said, "Leave me the fuck alone." Sorry for my language. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to restart that over. That's really good. Oh, he did, I forgot about that. He did kick the door right there, the door jamb, before that happened. For some reason, you want to sit down. Smith placed his right foot on the door jamb and pushed off, not allowing me to, and pushed off. Okay, we're not going to give an opinion there, so let's see what happens after that.
Let's call a bus.
Did I say let's call a bus? I'm just double checking that. So let's call a bus.
What? No, leave me the fuck alone! And you're recording this shit.
Okay, so I'm pretty much just going to stop there. You're starting to see where it's going, and that's just pretty much it. That's what you want to do. You just slowly go through it. You double check as you're going to make sure that everything you're doing is recording as it's going along. Remembering the basics all along. First person, past tense, chronological order. Only write what you did. And I know that's hard because you want to write what the other officers did, and you're like, wait, but I didn't cover that, and I didn't cover that. Quote what you remember you said, and that's kind of easier when you have a video. No opinions, and you see how I was going to put an opinion there about how when he pushed off the door jamb that it stopped him from entering, but you don't do that. You just say what happened. Be detailed. And you don't have to write at the end. Don't worry. Like I said in the beginning, you just write the date, time, make up what you can. I'm only interested in getting what happened in the video so that when somebody reads this, they can actually go back. And so if we look at this, you can go, look, I don't really care about Monday, October 4th. You're just setting it up. But on, you say suspect Smith was in handcuffs. We were trying to place him in the rear cage. So if I had two people, and I had Smith is in handcuffs, I had him by the rear cage of the patrol vehicle, with Smith standing and facing the open rear door passenger of the patrol vehicle. Okay, so you can picture that, right? Because I set that up. So pretend that you went out there to a vehicle, you opened the door, okay? The rear passenger door, because I set that up, I placed my right hand on the outside of his right upper tricep bite. You see how I'm setting it up? You have to imagine that nobody saw this video and that you are able to reset it up. If you're able to do that, and that's what I do when I read your reports. If I am able to, just from your report, picture it in my mind and roll the movie player, you did a great job. All right, so make sure you can do that. If you can do that, you're good. All right, remember the first, second should include day, date, and time, where the location is. Make that up, okay? Identify your key subjects by name. You can make that up. Be detailed. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Good job.